Should you try the Unicorn Overlord demo? Yes. Yes. The answer is yes. Go play it if it looks even halfway interesting to you.
There is no meme. This is just a threat.
Unicorn Overlord is taking up the mantle from Octopath Traveler and Project Triangle Strategy of being an incredibly good game with the dumbest possible name you could think of. It is a tribute to, I believe, Tactics Ogre or Ogre Battle, I can't remember which. And this video is just going to kind of be my thoughts on the demo. I'm going to ramble on like an absolute idiot, so if that's not your kind of thing, you've already learned what you need to learn. If you're interested in a strategy game, play it. If you want to hear my extended thoughts, well, I will extend them. The main attraction of this game is its gameplay. It is real-time strategy, technically speaking, but you can freeze time so easily that you never really feel overwhelmed. Like, you have time to think if you're afraid of real-time strategy being too fast for you. The way that this game is designed, it's built a lot around unit preparation. It's not something like Fire Emblem or Pokemon, where once you get your silly little guy or your little creature, you're using that creature. It's more about unit formations. You get multiple squads per map, and each squad starts having 3 people, but as you get more renowned by playing the game, you'll unlock 4 or 5-man squads. And it's about the composition of those squads and what they're capable of fighting. For example, the Armor Knight, big surprise, his shtick is blocking enemy attacks for someone else on your front line. So he pairs really well with your Lord, or units that do a lot of damage but don't have that much durability. And then there's, your basic backline strategy you've probably learned from Final Fantasy. Put mages and archers on the backline. It's not that complex on its own, but there are a ton of units I saw in the demo alone. There's your Lord, your Thief, your Knight, your Cavalry, your Witch, your Healer. There's a Angel, like a straight-up winged Angel, a Griffin Rider, an Archer. I think I said Archer already, I might not have. A Sword unit, a Gladiator. Like, there's so much. And I can tell already, finding the perfect combination to make a unit really good is going to take up almost, if not more time, than actually using the unit in battle. And I am really looking forward to that. In addition to that, the way that the units actually attack is based basically on the Gambit system from Final Fantasy XII. And I don't think I've ever talked about it on the channel before. And if I did, it's probably on some random-ass episode of an LP no one watched, like Shining Force or something. I love the Final Fantasy XII Gambit system. I think it's peak gaming, and I think the people that complain that the game plays itself are smelly and stupid. So, the way it works is your units enter battle with a certain amount of active points and passive points. Their active points are them, doing something, their attacks, etc., while their passive points are things that just happen. Healing, buffing, etc. And you'll have a set amount of abilities you can do, and you basically need to set, hey, I want this unit to do this attack if this happens. Like, I want my archer to attack flying units as a higher priority. Or I want my Lord, who your Lord gets healing if he KOs an enemy, I want him to target low health enemies because that's how he gets health back, etc., etc. Obviously, in the demo, it's just the very beginning of the game, so it's not too crazy. You basically only have one active and one passive, so there's no thinking behind it yet. But in spite of that, I personally already fucked up. There's a unit called Bruno you get early in the game, and his shtick is, his attack is, an axe attack, it's got good damage, and his passive is he heals himself whenever, the first instance of taking damage. I found an axe that has the passive ability, I think it's called War Cry, where your unit buffs their attack. The problem is I didn't realize, this isn't the game's fault, I'm bringing up that I'm an idiot, that it set Warcry to prioritize his passive points. But he only has one passive point, so he just wasn't healing himself. So he ended up dying in a battle, and I'm like, what the hell? Bruno's bulky. And then I looked at it, and I went, oh, I'm a clown. So it definitely, like, you need to pay attention. This isn't really a strategy game for people that are newbies to the strategy genre. It's not like one of Fire Emblem's appeals is that it's very easy to pick up and understand, especially like the GBA games. It's not like rocket science. I'm not saying it's a hyper-complex series of strings. It is a little bit more involved, though, than something like Fire Emblem, which for me, I love it, even if I can be an absolute idiot. If I had to make any complaints with the gameplay, it's that, and this is a personal thing, I know it's a personal thing, I can't stand open worlds, and the thing is as you're going around, you're exploring an open world map, and there'll be little sparkles, and you run over to the little sparkles, and you'll get 3 logs, and you use those 3 logs, not for a fuck-ass crafting system like other JRPGs, but still the same idea. You trade them in for something, and I don't know, this is probably the most boomer-ass take I could have, but I miss when you were exploring in a world, and you just found a chest, and you opened that chest, and the chest gave you an item. Rather than you walking an open world, finding a tree, you cut down that tree for 3 wood, and then you do some dumb crafting system to turn that 3 wood into something that was just in a chest anyway. Sorry. I have a personal vendetta against open worlds and fishing minigames. But that's a complete personal preference. I know a lot of people like that kind of thing, so you'll probably be all for it. But once, the actual strategy gameplay is great. I even fought a boss towards the end of the demo that I believe I already mentioned Shining Force, that harkened back to Shining Force, where, I was throwing all of my units at him, they were all barely dying, I was, 1 HP or dead on most of my guys, just fighting this boss, getting that last hit in, with everyone almost gone, and it was so satisfying. It is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of mechanics that have barely been touched on that I can't wait to see used more, like barricades, watchtowers, it's just really good. And it's all about experimentation. What I use might not be what you use or what other players use. Like I said, it's all about trying to figure out, it's like a puzzle piece. You're trying to fit them all together and make incredible unit combinations that can handle anything. If that sounds like your cup of tea, then it's gonna be amazing. I cannot recommend that enough if that sounds appealing to you. However, I will say a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, is this Vanillaware Fire Emblem? No, not every strategy RPG is Fire Emblem. It's like when Project Triangle Strategy came out and everyone was like, oh, Square Enix Fire Emblem? No, Triangle Strategy couldn't be more Final Fantasy Tactics if it tried. This is very clearly Ogre Battle and Ogre Tactics. Or Tactics Ogre, excuse me. Not every strategy RPG is Fire Emblem. So moving on to the story, it takes heavy inspiration from Fire Emblem. You start as a well-decorated prince who is cast away from his home to be raised on a small island country, and then after some time passes, you befriend the locals, and you then get strong enough with the help of your old man on a horse, and you go back to fight to retake your kingdom. The plot is not bad, it's not good. At no point in playing the Unicorn Overlord demo did I ever have a moment like a game that I played with a really good story recently, Yakuza 3, where I was like, oh yeah, we're doing this. But there was also nothing like a bad story, a Fire Emblem Engage, where I was like, oh god, we're doing this. It sits perfectly in the middle. The plot really just seems to be an excuse to do more battles, which is fine. It's like Dark Cloud on the PS2, if any of you have played that. It basically doesn't have a story really worth remembering, but it just funnels in the really unique and fun gameplay. The one thing I will say is I love the game's prose, like the localization and how the characters speak. Even if nothing interesting's really going on, I think the language choice is really good. And another thing they took heavy inspiration of for Fire Emblem was the rapport system, which I know that Fire Emblem didn't invent characters talking to each other. That was Dragon Quest with party chat. But, like, it's 3 levels for each character, unlocking 3 conversations. Like, yes, skits and Tales of and party chat and Dragon Quest predate support conversations, but this is support conversation. This is literally just support conversations. And the way that they do it is, once you use enough of the units in the same battalion to get them to the conversation, they are locked behind completing certain objectives on the map. Like, before you can get this conversation, you have to finish this battle. And that allows the conversations to be paced in a way that, one, you're not getting them all early, they can talk about things in the plot without worrying if the player's seen it yet. It's like the Tellius support conversations, which everyone who's played Tellius thinks is a really good way to do it. My only problem is through sheer divine comedy, I happen to get, like, just due to the combinations of units I was using, nothing but rapports that opened after I finished the, like, demo. Like, I beat my final map of the demo, because the demo is time-based. You play it, you get, like, 8 hours or something. Menu time doesn't count for the demo, which is incredibly generous for a game like this. And after your 8 hours are up, it'll let you finish whatever battle you're doing, and then the demo ends. When I finished the battle I was doing, I unlocked, like, 11 rapport conversations, and then the demo ended. In terms of the ones I actually got, they were okay. They seem to be setting up a lot of things like Fire Emblem supports. Like, very few C supports in Fire Emblem are immediately engaging. You gotta come back to them, and then see the B and A and see the full story. The only one that I can recall that got a little bit of a smile out of me was there's an early archer named Rolf, who's talking to your main lord, and he's having, like, really bad, he doesn't know what to hunt for. He has very bad, I think it's choice anxiety or something like that, where if he's presented with 2 choices, even if, like, it doesn't really matter, he can't make the choice. He struggles with it. And he's like, I don't know what to hunt. And your lord's like, well, why don't you just give them that turkey that you just shot? And he's like, yes, that's a great idea. And then someone comes up, well, I can make this turkey for dinner, but I've never made turkey before. Is it better roasted? Should I put it in a stew? And then Rolf goes, would you get back to me in the morning? I need to think about this. And they're like, dude, we need this for dinner. It can't wait that long. And that got a chuckle out of me. And, like, as I was saying about the story, it wasn't that, like, early on, your childhood friend gets kidnapped and she's taken away, and I didn't really give a shit. But when you get her back, there actually is a very nice touching scene between her and the main Lord Elaine, and how they talk to each other, they tease each other, they're vulnerable with each other, and it's just a very tender moment. And I like that. So, like, the story could definitely get better, it's just very much by the numbers right now. Which isn't always a bad thing, you know, just standard. A 5 out of 10 does not mean bad. So, characters and story. Oh, hold on, before I finish with that. The story is, like, leaving a lot of things up. Like, for example, Travis, your thief, he was part of some mercenary group, I think, and it was owned by his sister, and his sister just kicked him out, and he doesn't really know why, and that's just a plot thread that's dangling. We don't know where his sister is, we don't know why she did that. Bruno, that guy I was talking about earlier, mentions that she disbanded the group, but where is she? Why did she do that? And it's just leaving things for later. That's what it's doing right now. So this could be one of those stories that, like, it's like Baten Kaidos, where it kind of starts but then once shit gets going, it gets going. But again, I can only judge based on the demo that I've played, and at the current moment, I don't think the story is that impressive, but time will tell. Now what else? Art and character designs and, like, art style. The music's good. Did I say art and then talk about music? Good God. The music's good. Especially the opening track with Elaine's mother. Like, that was really good. The character designs are all really good. I love the game's art style. Though I will admit, this is not I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but when you look at all the character designs in the game, and then you look at the witch, who just, like, has her titties out and ass shaking, it really took me, like, it threw me for a loop, because so far, nothing else is like that. I'm not saying, oh my goodness, boobs, bad character design. It was just funny to me that no one else looks like that. The character artists whipped their dick out for that one character in particular. Which, alright, sure, rock on. But they all look like the people carrying around the big hammers are great. Apparently there are a lot of beast people that you just don't see in the demo. So I'm looking forward to seeing those. But I do love the game, like the way the game looks. I love how Elaine looks. I love how Yosef looks, Clive, Chloe, like they all look great. So I'm looking forward to that. Looks good, sounds good, if nothing insane yet. Again, except for that one track in the opening fight with Elaine's mother. That was beautiful. So yeah, those are my completely rambling thoughts on the demo for Unicorn Overlord. I would strongly recommend playing it. It's free. If you don't like it, play something else. If you do like it, your save data will carry over to the full game. So go play it.